Good evening and welcome to the May 19th, 2025 Zoning Hearing Master Meeting. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley and I'll be serving as your Zoning Hearing Master this evening. Before we get started, if you will please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you. Again, I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. I'll be serving as your Zoning Hearing Master this evening. If you have any devices with you tonight that make noise, would you please take a moment and silence those right now? Thank you for that. Now I would like to introduce Michelle Heinrich of the Development Services Department. Ms. Heinrich will introduce staff members and also any changes in tonight's agenda that are not already published on the agenda.
Thank you, Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. Up here from the County Attorney's Office is Mary Dorman. With the Planning Commission staff is Alexis Myers, and with Transportation Review staff, Richard Perez. And we do have one change to announce that was not on the published agenda, and that is agenda page 8, item D1, Major Mod 24-0675. Staff is requesting a continuance of this application to the June 16th, 2025 ZHM hearing, and the applicant is in agreement with that so that we may continue to work through issues that still have yet to be resolved.
Okay, thank you. So this is agenda item D1 on page 8, a major modification 24-0675. Is the applicant's representative here?
Good evening, Cami Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson, and I am here.
All right, just state your address on the record, please.
101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, Tampa, Florida.
All right, thank you. And is the applicant in agreement with the continuance?
We are.
Okay. All right, thank you. Then major modification 24-0675 is continued to the June 16th, 2025 Zoning Hearing Master Hearing. That'll be 6:00 p.m. June 16th. All right, and proceed. Anything else, Ms. Heinrich? That's all. Okay. All right, thank you. Then next, I'll read in the procedures for the hearings tonight. First of all, the agenda consists of items that require a public hearing by a hearing master before going to the Board of County Commissioners for a final decision. I will conduct a hearing on each item today and will submit a written recommendation. My written recommendations will be filed with the clerk of the board within 15 working days after the conclusion of today's public hearings. The Board of County Commissioners will consider the record of today's public hearings and my recommendations and will make a final decision on each application at a publicly noticed meeting on a date and time set by the Board of County Commissioners. The hearings today will be informal. I will ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony and may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and I will decide all questions of procedure. I will take evidence, but evidence will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony shall be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding of fact unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil court action. The order of presentation tonight shall be as follows. First of all, county staff will introduce each item. Then the applicant and the applicant's witnesses will have 15 minutes to present the proposal. Then County Development Services will have 5 minutes to present its findings and recommendations. Planning Commission will then have 5 minutes to present its findings of compliance or non-compliance with the comprehensive plan. Proponents will then have 15 minutes to present arguments in support of the proposal. Then opponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments against the proposal, and county staff will then have 5 minutes to present any amended recommendations. The applicant then will have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. The 15 minutes that are for proponents and opponents is the total time allotted among all speakers. So if there are a number of persons who wish to speak on an item, then the 15 minutes will be distributed among you. Also, if there are a number of persons who wish to speak on an item, you may appoint a single spokesperson to represent your views. When you come to the microphone tonight, please first state your name and address for the record. This meeting is being recorded, so please speak into the microphone so your testimony can be heard and recorded. And when you're finished speaking, please see the clerk on my left over here to sign in for the record. Now we'll hear from the county attorney's office, who will state the legal requirements for requesting oral argument at the public meeting where the Board of County Commissioners will make the final decision.
Good evening. This is Mary Dorman from the County Attorney's Office. Tonight's public hearing is the first step of a two-step rezoning process. This hearing is the time for rezoning applicants and interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Any evidence presented tonight will become part of the complete factual record of each application, and no additional evidence can be introduced after the closing of each application. The second step of the rezoning process is a public meeting before the Board of County Commissioners, where the board will make a decision on each application heard tonight. Tonight's applications are scheduled to be heard by the board at its July 22nd, 2025 land use meeting, unless a different date is stated by staff. When considering applications, the board will only review the record and the recommendation made by the land use hearing officer for each application. The land use hearing officer will file a recommendation for each application heard tonight on June 10th, 2025. The Board of County Commissioners has established a policy that directs which rezoning and major modification applications are to be placed on the consent agenda of the board's land use meeting. The following applications may not be placed on the consent agenda: applications that propose to add density outside the urban service area, applications on roadways with a failing level of service, applications that do not have consistent recommendations of approval or denial, and applications that have had evidence or testimony provided to the record by non-applicant parties of record, either prior to or at tonight's public hearing. The board will allow testimony by any party of record at its public meeting to consider the land use hearing officer's recommendation for any item on the regular agenda. Testimony by a party of record shall be limited to the record of the proceedings before the land use hearing officer unless additional evidence has been found admissible in accordance with Section 10.03.04D of the Land Development Code. A party of record is an individual who fits into at least one of the following four categories. First, someone who's present tonight and presents testimony or documentary evidence. Second, someone who's been certified by the U.S. Postal Service as having been mailed notice of tonight's hearing. Third, someone who submitted documentary evidence to the master file at least 2 business days prior to tonight's hearing. Or fourth, someone who submitted documentary evidence by proxy at tonight's hearing. The content of oral argument before the board shall be limited to the content of the testimony and other evidence submitted verbally or in writing to the land use hearing officer. It is the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that only individuals who have met these requirements are allowed to speak before the board and to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is introduced or allowed at the board's public meeting. For these reasons, please make sure that all information you wish the board to consider at its public meeting is entered into tonight's record.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so testimony tonight must be under oath. If you plan to speak tonight, would you please stand and raise your hand to be sworn in? If there's anyone online who plans to speak tonight, please also raise your hand to be sworn in. All right, do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, Ms. Heinrich, I think we're ready to hear the first case.
Sure. Our first item is item C1, Standard Rezoning 25-0514. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AS 0.4 to CGR. Michelle Montalbano with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Julius Kablinskas, 806 East James, Tampa, Florida, 33603. I am the applicant for this rezoning, and we're looking to rezone the property from its current ASO 4 to commercial general for the use of a indoor pickleball facility. And part of the building will be used for is lease space, somewhere about 5,000 square foot. So ultimately, a 21,000 square foot building, majority of which 16,000 square foot being used for indoor pickleball, and then a portion of it being used for whatever will be allowed within the CG zoning. Therefore, being a non-conforming lot, we were able to do this. However, wanting to be able to rent out some of the space, we figured we'd go through the zoning process to be sure what limitations are for that space and availability. Other than that, it's pretty set forward. We had our pre-application meetings with FDOT. We've been going back and forth a few times, and at this point, we're ready to move forward.
Okay. I don't have any questions for you then. Thank you. Be sure and sign in with the clerk over here on your right. All right, Development Services, please.
Michelle Montemala, Development Services. The applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 1.93 acres of property from AS.4 to CG with restrictions in order to develop for commercial uses. The current proposal is for an indoor pickleball court facility. The property is located in the Thono-Tosassa area along U.S. Highway 301. The applicant has agreed to restrict development to a 0.25 FAR for all uses except for office uses, research, corporate park uses, and mixed-use projects in order to comply with the SMU 6 future land use standards and the comprehensive plan. The proposed TGR district would be a continuation of the commercial development pattern in the immediate area. The majority of the properties along the south side of U.S. Highway 301 from Williams Road to Bradley Road are zoned for commercial uses. I'm available if you have any questions. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. I have no questions for you. All right, Planning Commission.
Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the suburban mixed-use future land use category. It is in the urban service area and within the limits of the Thono-Tosassa Community Plan. The proposal for the rezoning from AS 0.4 to CG will be compatible with the surrounding development and aligns with the intent of future land use section of Objective 1.1, as well as Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1, as the surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of public, quasi-public, vacant, and light commercial uses. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this item? All right, I do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this item? All right, I do not hear anyone. Then Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And applicant, did you have anything further for the record?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, this will close the hearing on rezoning standard 25-0514.
Our next application is item C2, standard rezoning 25-0639. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AI to M restricted. Logan McCaig with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 37, Tampa, Florida. This is a pretty straightforward rezoning located along Lineby Avenue in an area with future land use for industrial and surrounded on both sides with the M zoning district. The request before you is to go to the M zoning district. The one restriction that we have agreed to is the number of trips that may be generated. So we're not limiting the use, the restriction this time. We're actually limiting the number of trips, and that's we will not generate more than 80 inbound peak hour trips. And we are in agreement with that restriction, and we'd respectfully request your approval.
All right, thank you. I don't have any questions for you. Development Services, please.
Good evening, Logan McCaig, Development Services, rezoning 25-0639. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from agricultural industrial to manufacturing restricted. The applicant is proposing a condition limiting the uses of the site to the uses that generate less than 80 inbound peak hour trips per day. Site is located along Linebaugh Avenue, approximately 1,300 feet west of Anderson and approximately 350 feet north of the CSX rail line. The area contains a mix of existing industrial, residential, and commercial activities, both low and high density and intensity. The site in question is surrounded by existing properties zoned M manufacturing and is located directly along Linebaugh. These factors, along with the LI underlying future land use, creates an environment where the rezoning this property to manufacturing would bring it more in line with the existing uses of the area and the vision of the FLU. Staff recommends approvals, subject conditions that no development shall be permitted generating more than 80 inbound peak hour trips.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Okay.
All right, Planning Commission.
Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the light industrial future land use category. It is in the urban service area and not within the limits of any community plan. The proposal meets future land use section objective 1.1 and policy 3.1.3 regarding compatibility. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this item? All right, do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this item? All right, do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
Just to let you know, there is a revised transportation report that we're currently handing out. It does not change the transportation's findings of supportable. It's more of a format change.
Okay. All right, and I will see that, I'm sure, in the record. Thank you. Applicant, anything further?
Cami Corbett, just one quick clarification. The planner, Logan, testified that the uses were limited. The uses aren't limited. The full range of M uses are allowed, but the development itself can't generate that more than those trips. So.
Thank you. I did notice that, and yes, I see what that restriction says, and I'll get that right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, this will close the hearing on rezoning standard 25-0639.
Our next application is item D2, standard or PD rezoning 24-1147. The applicant is requesting to rezone property that's currently zoned PD and AR to a new planned development. Sam Ball with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Kelvin Reddy with the firm Gray Robinson, address 1 Lake Morton Drive, Lakeland, Florida, 33801. On behalf of the applicant, Jay Tanner, who's with me tonight. The request, as Michelle Heinrich said, is to rezone from agricultural rural to planned development and from PD 190067. The general location of the property is in Ruskin. It's just south of 19th Avenue Northeast and just north of 11th Avenue Northeast along 24th Street Northeast. The future land use category for the property and the immediately surrounding properties is SMU 6. Typical uses in SMU 6 are agricultural, residential, in particular to this project, mixed use. We're not requesting a change in the future land use category. It's within the urban service area and the Ruskin community planning area, and I believe it's also in one other community planning area whose name escapes me at the moment, but I know it's in the record. The application site is not within an overlay district. SMU 6, as I stated before, permits mixed-use projects up to a maximum of 0.35 FAR. Current zoning of the site is agricultural rural and PD 19-0067. The particular piece of property in that PD is for agricultural uses and agricultural industrial. The current actual specific use on the property is aquaculture. The surrounding zoning uses are PDs as well, including 19-0067. They're primarily residential in nature around the area with retention ponds. Getting to the site plan overview, the actual site is 13.22 acres in size, and it's organized, the site plan is organized into 3 specific tracts based on the uses permitted in each tract. The proposed FAR right now is 0.34, which is under the 0.35, and the application is for mixed-use project as it has three horizontal uses, primarily the CN and CG uses that we'll get to in a minute, agriculture, and then residential support uses, daycare, childcare, pre-K, conditional. Proposed screening on the property under the site plan is type B all the way around with differing size buffers depending on which side of the PD you're on. And then for transportation on the site, it's a singular right-in, right-out access to 24th Street Northeast. We are in agreement with the condition for a trip cap of 710 gross average daily trips, 36 a.m., 95 p.m. And I did want to note as well, I talked to the planner this morning with respect to condition 4 of the report. I believe there's a revised report going around with a caveat that the turn lane that's required in condition 4 will be at the time of development. Going into tract 1, the first tract on the PD, maximum height in that zone is 50, maximum building coverage is 24,000 square feet, maximum impervious surface is 40%. I did want to note, when we originally made the site plan, we believe that greenhouses that are going to go on the property or buildings, in further discussions, it's 2 or more solid walls, so the greenhouses on site shouldn't qualify as buildings or go to that 24,000 square foot as noted in condition 2A4 of the conditions of approval. The uses in tract 1 are agriculture, but specifically again sticking with the aquacultural use in accordance with chapter 597 Florida statutes. Particularly what we're doing on the site in tract 1 is producing native seagrasses for use for manatee feed and then growing threatened corals and damaged corals for restocking reefs. And this is a couple images of the types of greenhouses that we're talking about. Tract 2, moving on to tract 2. Tract 2 is maximum proposed height is 40 feet. It has a maximum building coverage area of 6,750 square feet. Maximum impervious surface, 60%. Its uses are CN and CG limited. With respect to the limitations, we would be, per what we're currently under, we would be permitting apparel, shoe stores, bicycle shops, bookstores, but we'd be restricting more intensive uses under CN and CG, such as freestanding bars, convenience stores, car washes, and drive-through restaurants. And it would also have the conditional pre-K child care residential support uses. And moving on to the final tract, tract 3, it has a maximum height proposed 40 feet, a maximum building coverage 163,500 square feet, maximum impervious surface 65%. Of that 163,500 mini warehouse with outdoor storage and recreational vehicles. To the extent for the actual RV and boat storage, it's to the LDC's permitted amount because it's an accessory use. And this 2,000 square foot sliver on the very front of that building, it's CN and CG. And I apologize for having the pre-K childcare. I do not actually believe that's on there. It got copied over from the other one. It's just CN and CG limited on that 2,000 square foot. What I wanted to focus on mostly was the commercial locational criteria waiver that we submitted. The applicant, as noted in our narrative, is completely on board with applying the future land use element that was adopted in December. We understand because the application was submitted back in August, it has to go under the old future land use element. So we submitted the waiver. Under policy 22.2, that means that the application site has to be within 900 feet of a qualifying intersection node. So that's why we submitted the waiver. And under the relevant policies for Objective 22, compatibility and unique circumstances should be disclosed or identified for that waiver. On the compatibility side, we'd just like to point out that as the report from staff acknowledges, we've got the Type B screening to those rather large Type B screening buffers. We've got the enhanced screening of boat and RV storage, which is going to be a type of carport with walls covering and blocking view off-site of those RVs and boats while for any area that a building's not otherwise blocking it. We'd also like to point out the residential support uses, the daycare, the childcare, the pre-K will also help the residents in the area. And we'd also like to point out for the RV and boat storage in particular, it's heavily residential in the area. A lot of those residences are restricted, have restrictive covenants that don't permit. We actually looked and found up one for Hawks Point. They don't permit boat storage and RV storage on their residential lots. So it'll be helpful to have that in the area for people who like to go boating, like to go camping, and be able to have some place they can go load up rather quick. And then, of course, there's the neighborhood serving commercial uses themselves. The area doesn't have very much. I think it has 2 Circle Ks in the area, so this will add in the kind of uses that folks want to have. Unique circumstances, again, the way we're looking at it, the project's mixed use. It's not for strip commercial development, which is the whole point of the commercial locational criteria. Objective 22, so that's a unique factor. The updated future land use element, of course, provides 2 avenues that we'd find that would permit the commercial locational criteria to be met with even out a waiver if you were to apply the new code. Looking at the first one, policies 4.7.2 and 4.7.3, there's a provision in there that permits them within a planned area of 10 acres or more that's proposing neighborhood commercial uses. And then policy 4.7.2 actually provides, as staff notes or planning commission notes, a new qualifying intersection node at the bottom of the screen, which is the intersection of 11th Avenue and 24th Street. The application site's required to be within 1,000 feet under the new future land use element. I believe, based on the report, it's just within that. One other note I'd like to put forward is based on the quadrant that would be formed at that intersection, it's still heavily residential. There's not very much land at all left except the application site to put commercial location or to put neighborhood commercial serving uses. So that it would be a great use of the qualifying intersection. And those are the basis on the waiver. And in conclusion, just want to point out, Development Services recommends approval subject to the proposed conditions. Planning Commission finds it consistent. And then there's the multiple specific findings I've listed that came from the report. All right.
All right, thank you. I don't have any questions for you. Be sure and sign in with the clerk. All right, Development Services, please.
Good evening, Sam Ball with Development Services. Just like to say, there was a revised report submitted, basically condition 4. It has to do with basically the timing of a roadway improvement whenever the development is initiated. The applicant is requesting to rezone 13.21 acres from AR and PD to mixed-use PD, which would allow the development of limited CN, limited CG, mini warehouse, and would allow for the agricultural uses to continue. The allowable uses in Track 2 would also include pre-K, daycare, childcare, and child nurseries. A minor modification is required to remove the eastern portion of the property from PD 190067, which is being considered under application PRS 250317. The portion of the property zone PD is located within the South Shore Corporate Park DRI, but the proposed uses will not require modification to the DRI development order. The rezoning is also being reviewed concurrently with a right-of-way vacation application that would vacate public right-of-way within the proposed PD boundaries. The applicant is not seeking PD variations or waivers to the Land Development Code. There are no reviewing agency objections. Hillsborough Community College and Leonard High School are located to the south of the property. The rest of the immediate area is developed for single-family use. Between the proposed development site and the budding residential, staff finds that the proposed separations, which would include Type B screening, landscape buffering, and setbacks, will sufficiently mitigate the impacts of the proposed uses on the neighboring properties. Staff also finds that the outdoor vehicle storage area design requirements proposed by the applicant would adequately meet the intent of mini warehouse locational design requirements of LDC 61160 and would sufficiently mitigate the impacts on the neighboring properties. Additionally, staff finds that the restricted commercial uses proposed by the applicant, in addition to the buffering and screening to be provided, will also minimize the impacts on the neighboring property. Staff recommends approval subject to conditions. That concludes my report. If you have any questions.
No questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Planning Commission.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the suburban mixed-use future land use category. It is in the urban service area within the limits of the Ruskin Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Community Plan. The proposal meets the intent of Objective 1 and Policy 1.4 on compatibility, as a proposed PD would not significantly change the existing character of the area. The subject site also meets the intent of Objective 16 regarding the protection of adjacent land uses through various buffering and mitigation measures. The subject site does not meet commercial location criteria. The applicant provided a COC waiver for the proposal. Planning Commission recommends that the waiver be approved from the board. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff found the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
I would just add that the revision that the applicant's representative discussed at the beginning, that is already reflected in a revised staff report that's in optics.
Okay, good, thank you. I do have the revised staff report with that change. Thank you. Applicant, anything further?
Nope. Thank you for pointing that out, but thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. This closes the hearing on rezoning PD 24-1147.
Our next item is item D3, Major Mod 24-1152. The applicant is requesting a major mod to PD 03-0348. Jared Fulham with Development Services has reviewed this request and will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer. Joe Moretta, 400 North Ashley. Good to see you again. We're here to represent our client on major modification 24-1152. Major modification is a edit to the plan development, the existing plan development, which is number 03-0348. It's located at the northwest corner of US 41 in Cypress Lane in Lutz. It has the neighborhood mixed use 3 category, which permits a 0.25 FAR. It's also in the Lutz community plan. The site acreage is 11.74. Right now, the way it's existing on the site, there's 2 parcels. Parcel A, which is developed out with office and multiple buildings, and parcel B, which is primarily what we're going to be talking about, is located to the south at the intersection. The existing plan development allows 2 parcels of development and 2 development options. In option 1, parcel A, which is to the north, which is essentially developed at a lower amount, but it's developed at it allows up to 50,000 square feet of office. In parcel B, in option 1, allows 12,000 square feet of limited CN retail. Of note, there's no drive-throughs allowed, and a restaurant only sit-down, one of which is allowed. In option 2, parcel A also permits office at 46,000 square feet. Parcel B retains the same restrictions on the use and allows 16,000 square feet of those CN limited uses. Moving on to the major modification, in option 1 and option 2, we're proposing to keep the amount of square footage for the office in parcel A consistent. In both options, it will permit 46,375 square feet of office. Then moving to parcel B, in option 1, we're proposing 29,500 square feet, and we're also limiting the retail, the CN retail, to no drive-through and the other restrictions that I mentioned in terms of restaurants, et cetera. And then in option 2, we're requesting parcel B, 20,000 square feet with the limitations on the retail and 60,000 square feet of mini warehouse. Moving to the context of the area, the PD itself is flanked by more intense CG zoning to the north and to the south, as you can see in red on the graphic here. The major modification retains the CN use limitations, including the no drive-through, which was very important in our neighborhood meeting to the folks that attended. The plan also includes a transition down to office in the north, which is already existing. It also retains extensive buffers and screenings on all the boundaries. It retains the screening that's required by the corridor plan on the arterial. It also retains the screening on the perimeter as well. Includes an extensive setback to the west. We feel it's consistent and compatible with the surrounding development pattern and uses of the area. As I noted before, we also had a neighborhood meeting, and we do have a letter of support from the Lake Brant Special District. In their opinion, they feel like the way the proposed zoning is conditioned, that it will allow for minimal traffic and environmental impact. And it also retains the prohibited uses in terms of the scope of use, the type of use that was unanimously created by 2 different Board of Commissions. We also have the support of the Planning Commission. They found it consistent. They referenced a number of different policies that they feel come into play that makes it consistent. And we also have a recommendation of approval with staff based on a number of conditions that we agreed to. We have no proposed changes, and we would respectfully request your support on this. Available if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a major modification to Plan Development 03-0348 for the property located at 17710 North Highway 41, which is located in the Lutz Community Plan area. The site is located along Highway 41, which is a primary arterial, and is in the vicinity of other commercial zoned properties and uses to the north and south. The subject property is adjacent to ASC 1 to the west, which is primarily wetlands and is undeveloped. This wetland area serves as a buffer between the residential that lies further to the west. Across the highway also lies ASC 1 zone properties consisting of single-family homes. Most of the area adjacent to the highway is vacant, and there is no existing homes directly across from Parcel B. Railroad tracks also run along the highway on this residential side. So due to the proximity to the highway and the distance to the single-family uses, we do not find the proposed major modification to be out of character of the area. In addition, buffer and screening shall be implemented as per code, and landscaping will be provided along Highway 41 and Cypress Lane in accordance with the rural scenic roadway requirements. With this in mind, we find the proposed major modification approvable.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Thank you.
All right, Planning Commission.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the neighborhood mixed use, future land use category. It is in the rural area and within the limits of the Lutz Community Plan. The proposed major modification is compatible with the surrounding area and meets the intent of future land use element Objective 4 and Objective 16, as the surrounding land use pattern is a mixed use. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed major modification consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you very much. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right, I don't hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And applicant, did you have anything further?
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So this closes the hearing on major modification 24-1152.
Our next application is item D4, PD rezoning 24-1202. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from AS1 to Plan Development. Jared Folan with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, hearing officer and staff. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. This is PD 24-1202. Planning Commission and Development Services support with no agency objections. Issue is AS1 to PD in the USA. 2 options: open storage of commercial and domestic vehicles and/or warehouse. located in the East Lake Orient Park area. Just north of I-4, located on 301. Looking a little closer, US 31 carries 32,500 vehicles per day in 2020, major arterial truck path, and very intensive uses, 301 truck stops to the north. The applicant already exists, as indicated here. The yellow area is proposed for the applicant now, a racetrack patrolling to the south and logistics trucking further to the south. So 2 parcels are today's PD site and would be in conjunction with the applicant's existing truck site that you can see here. This is just a photo from 301. Lightning Transport is the user. They've been there for quite some time. Development option 1 is open storage of commercial and domestic vehicles. Must operate with the same owner's use to the south, can't be standalone. Second option is open storage of commercial and domestic vehicles and warehouse, 21,000 square feet, again with the same requirement that the owner's use to the south must be integrated and can't be standalone. Access is only out to either Sly or 301, not into the residential streets, of course. When you look at zoning, we're zoned AS1. CI covers a majority of the surrounding. AS1 to the south. Light industrial is a PD 1396. Importantly, future land use category is CMU 12, which includes light industrial, community retail, commercial, covers the entire area. And the light industrial, as I mentioned before, was approved 99-1396. Now, we have added to the north a 40-foot buffer and a 50-foot buffer to the east, which would be remaining with existing natural forestation, which is very high dense, very high, very thick. Variations for buffering and being cautious of citizens is that the north and eastern property line will allow a 6-foot-high wood or PVC fence, and we do have a change to that I'll walk you through in just a minute. We would utilize existing vegetation in lieu of the type C screening, and if at the time of development the existing vegetation does not meet LDC standards, it will be required to update the screening to meet code requirements. Now, I've spoken with residents over the last few days, and we have agreed to one change, which on the east boundary shown here would be a 6-foot-high masonry wall, and I have put into the record on both the PD plans those changes as well as the narrative. So the neighbors on the east side felt better where they had previously submitted an email in opposition. I do have an email to put into the record from them as well, that they are now supporting the request. Which if I may do that now. So we were happy to work with the residents on the east side, happy to do the 6-foot-high masonry wall on that east side, not on the north, but their neighbors primarily are completely on the east side, and that met some of their concerns that they originally had. When you look at the aerial, you can see in the site that it is very intensive forestation, and looking down Maple Lane, again, you can see that's very intensive screening, which many, many times exceeds code. And this is the other side of Maple Line, where there'd be a 50-foot buffer. In regard to the warehouse itself would be extreme distance from the property lines, 90 feet to the east, 120 feet to the north. So the use proposed is quiet, it's low trips, little infrastructure, no access to the residential streets. Development Services did not foresee any compatibility concerns. They felt that the enhanced buffers were positive and offer residential property increased building setbacks for the warehouse. Planning Commission found it was compatible, that the forestation will create a natural forest or buffer to the single-family homes, and it does support the vision of East Lake Orient Park Community Plan. Planning Commission also found under policy 16.2 that gradual transitions in intensities through the use of site planning, buffering, and screening and control of specific land uses is used and meets that policy for new development as proposed. So with that, the changes have been included into the file by the thumb drive, and I also have a hard copy that I'll put in as well.
Okay, and just a quick question, make sure I understand everything you said there. So 2 options, and the change to instead of the fence on the east side, it will be a masonry wall. And that's going to be a condition, an additional condition?
Yes, that's part of the narrative and is included in the both PD plans that I submitted this evening.
All right, and you put language for that condition in the...
Yes.
Okay, and that condition applies to either option of development, either
Correct.
development option?
Both
Okay.
options, correct.
Okay. All right, that's all the questions. Thank
Thank you.
you.
I have a revised report that reflects that change, if you'd like me to pass it out right now.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So this is a request to rezone a parcel from AS1 to planned development to allow 2 development options, one to permit the open storage of commercial and domestic vehicles, and the other to allow open storage in addition to a 21,000 square foot warehouse facility with a max height of 40 feet. This development will be required to operate in tandem with the existing use to the south, which is a truck facility with open storage and will not be permitted to be operated as a standalone use. The subject site is located at 6022 Maple Lane and is located within the East Lake Orient Park planned area. The property this development is to operate in tandem with is addressed 6015 North Highway 301. In the vicinity, several properties are zoned commercial intensive, mostly located along the highway. Adjacent to the north and east of the subject site across Maple Lane lies a small residential area, primarily zoned agricultural rural, with a number of residential homes. Type C buffer and screening is proposed along these buffers, except along the northern boundary where the applicant has requested a variation to allow a 6-foot high wood or PVC fence instead of the 6-foot high masonry wall. The development will still be required to construct a wall along the eastern boundary. To further protect the residential properties, the applicant is proposing enhanced buffer widths, those being 50 feet along the north and 50 feet along the east. In addition, these buffer areas will be required to maintain the existing vegetation in accordance with Type C screening. If existing vegetation does not meet these standards at the time of development, the applicant will be required to bring the vegetation up to code. Based on these considerations, the proposed variation is acceptable as there are no homes directly located along Maple Lane to the north. With the enhanced buffers, we believe this adequately protects the residential areas to the north and east. We find the proposed PD approvable, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, just quickly, because we were focusing on that additional condition, did you state your name on the record?
Oh, Jared Fawn, Development Services.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I think that's it. No questions for you.
All right, thanks.
All right, Planning Commission, please.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is in the Community Mixed Use 12 Future Land Use category. It is in the urban service area within the limits of the East Lake Orient Park Community Plan. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area as it is similar to the use directly south of the site and therefore meet the intent of Future Land Use Element Objective 1 and Objective 16. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? I do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
Nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Pressman, anything further?
Just the smallest of corrections. I know Jared's aware of this. On the north, it's a 40-foot buffer. He said 50, but that was just a verbal thing. But I wanted to clarify that record, that's all.
I see
Appreciate
that.
his hard work.
All right, thank you for that clarification. All right, this will close the hearing on rezoning PD 24-1202.
Our next application is item D5, PD rezoning 24-1240. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from ASC1, CG, and AR to plan development. And this is a companion item to a comprehensive plan amendment Therefore, both are scheduled to be heard on the July 10th, 2025 BOCC CPA public hearing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. Again, Todd Pressman for the record. This is 241240, 10.89 acres. The applicant is Marie Ballot. Marie is a small businesswoman, entrepreneur, and as staff indicated, this is a companion comprehensive plan amendment with the zoning. Development Services Planning Commission support the zoning change, no agency objections. I do want to make you aware that under the comp plan amendment, HCCPA 2430, both the Planning Commission staff and the Planning Commission Board approved the change to SMU 6. We are in the Gibson area, 10.89 acres, Gibson Community Plan, and we're located just south of Alafai River, just off Highway 41. A little closer, you'll see Highway 41. The only thing that separates the two is a rail line, and then the property span from Gibsonton Drive to Nundy. It's a little bit of a weird configuration. There's 3 parcels, but item number 3, just FYI, is a split parcel. So it is 3 parcels as laid out here. And again, parcel 3 is under the same ownership, but just split. So we have Gibsonton Drive arterial in the north, Nundy on the south, Highway 41, the rail line surrounding. So the issue is AR, ASC1, and CG for PD to allow for a contractor's office with open storage. That is specific to modular office units and a small office. So these are the outdoor storage of modular offices. They have a small office building as well, which is not in view, but that's just one of the additional uses. So the use is very quiet, very low trips, no real active use on site, and very little infrastructure. When you look around the site, as indicated, to the west is Highway 41 and a rail line. To the east by Gibsonton are all extremely intensive uses that I'll walk you through. And then further to the south are residents, but we have a lot of neighborhood support. Some of them are here this evening. And to the south are intensive uses, lumber yard and commercial uses. So to the west is the rail yard. To the south is the lumber and fencing products. To the east is this intensive use, which also was just approved by the Board of County Commissioners for SMU 6. I'll show you that on a mapping. So in the entire properties, hearing officer, there's only 2 small areas or pods that will have any activity. The rest are wetlands, not conservation, but just open areas that development can't occur. So just a little in the north and a little in the south. So under the PD plan, that's how it's laid out: storage and office in the north, storage in the rear. That's it. Rest of the area is off limits. So we have 2 variations. One is along the eastern boundary, which is abutting residential. Type C screening requires tree planting, vegetation, 6-foot-high masonry wall. In lieu of that, in lieu of the 6-foot masonry wall, the applicant proposes to use a 6-foot-high wood or PVC fence. Now, item number 2 was not in the staff report, but it is in the narrative. It was submitted. We note that proposed throughout the perimeter of the site where the existing forestation exceeds the code screening requirement, the existing forestation will remain as a screening provided. And again, that is in optics, and that was submitted a few months ago. It was one item I didn't see in the staff report, so I wanted to highlight that. The big change here is the trending to SMU 6. So the subject site is in the center, noted site. And again, Planning Commission has okayed that for SMU 6. Further to the east, 4 or 5 doors, maybe 6 doors, SMU 6 was approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2015. And then abutting on the north with CPA 2429 was just approved in January by BOCC for SMU 6. So this whole area is transitioning towards SMU 6. And then, of course, you have OC 20, which runs along Highway 301 and the rail line. To the south is residential show business, and there's existing intensive commercial uses that I've shown you. Now, along Gibsonton Drive, all the way across spanning Gibson Drive on the south side are very intensive uses. Just to give you an idea of the intensive all outdoor heavy industrial manufacturing storage uses. This is one aerial showing the intensity, significant intensity of that use in that area. This is one of my favorites. This is just a few doors down to the west, to the east, and again further to the east. There's a lot of infrastructure construction by Mears, trucking, the other CP, and then our site. And again, you can see the intensity of uses that run along Gibsonton. On Gibsonton Drive, the 2020 traffic count was 12,500 vehicles per day. It's an official arterial roadway and is also under the Board of County Commissioners truck route. And as you know, for these type of uses, there's additional buffer and screening required. Now, on this east side, where there's residential, we do have support. 30-foot buffers required. There's 4 folks here, and I have one email from them, from 5 of the individuals, indicating their support for this request, which I'm going to put in the record if I may. And the same folks supported us at the comp plan as well. These are in the record. And then in the south is the lumber and fencing from Mr. Brongo. He notes his only concern is potential flooding, which this use is very small impacting, and he's in support of Marie and the rezoning, and this would be his site. Development Services notes commercial uses are located west along Gibson Drive that I showed you. They found that this use would be compatible. In the north of the development, the proposed project does reduce the wide number of potential uses, which was under CG at the north. The proposed use to be added is comparable to the commercial light industrial uses in the area. And Development Services also notes that the FAR proposes significantly under the 0.25 that's allowable in the SMU 6 comp plan category. County Transportation Report shows a reduction, a 24-hour two-way volume of 12,000 vehicles, and total peak reductions under the AM of 1,022 and PM of 874. Planning Commission continues to note it's compatible, consistent. Given the limited area, the proposed open storage, existing vegetation, and required buffering screening will make it consistent, supports the vision of the Gibson Community Plan. I do want to add one point that may be a little bit tangent to it, but and one of the reasons the neighbors are here is because the business entity that is on site has been extremely involved with the community. As they note in their newsletter, they're very caring organizational culture, nurtures employee empowerment, and have reached out to the community in a lot of ways, particularly during the storm last year. 6 senior residents took shelter in their office modular units, and then loaned front-end loaders, coordinated charity groups, sent crews to assist cleanup in the area, adding tarps to roofs, removal of trees. So they've been really a tremendous local business asset, which some of the folks here may mention to you, but I think that's worth mentioning and putting on the record. So with that, we appreciate your attention and happy to answer any questions you might have.
I just want to make sure that I understand that change that you mentioned that is not in the staff report. If you might go back to that slide if you could.
Well, let me clarify that it is in the narrative submitted timely, but I didn't see it in the staff report.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand it. So
Sure.
this is proposed throughout the perimeter of the site. Where the existing forestation exceeds the code screening requirement, the applicant is asking that the existing forestation will remain. Okay.
Correct.
So that would be, you're requesting that would be added as a condition for the approval?
With the greatest respect, I would say that it is a condition that was submitted.
Okay.
Not
But
new.
it's just not showing up in the staff report?
Yeah, it's just, this had a lot of pieces and gears turning and moving, so I just wanted to highlight that we're sure that that's included as an item for the site.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. That's why I had you go back to it. I want to make sure I understand the language you're requesting and that staff has it as well. So then I'll ask Development Services to address that as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And be sure and sign in.
Good evening, Tanya Chapela, Development Services. The existing zoning is agricultural rural, agricultural single-family conventional, and commercial general. The proposed zoning for planned development contains 2 site areas. Development is proposed to allow contractor's office with open storage of modular office units pursuant to the development standards that are in the staff report. This application is related to CPA 24-30, requesting the SMU 6 future land use category. Commercial uses are located to the west along Gibsonton Drive and to the south of the PD boundary across Nundy Avenue. Therefore, the introduction of 3,977 square feet of contractor's office with open storage uses would not be incompatible with the existing development pattern of the area. In the proposed northern development, the proposed uses are comparable to the current commercial general allowed uses. The proposed project reduced the number of potential uses currently allowed in the subject property. Furthermore, the proposed use to be added is comparable to the commercial and light industrial uses approved along Nundy Avenue and Gibsonton Drive, and does not create further incompatibilities with the surrounding area. The applicant requests a PD variation to the screening standard along the eastern PD boundary abutting residential. Type C screening requires tree plantings, vegetation, and a 6-foot height masonry wall. In lieu of the 6-foot height masonry wall, the applicant proposes to use a 6-foot high wood or PVC fence. For the applicant, the wooden or PVC fence will serve the same screening opacity and is better suited for this type of storage. The proposed FAR is under the maximum 0.25 FAR allowable in the SMU 6 comprehensive plan category. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request, subject to conditions.
Okay, thank you. And would you, Ms. Chappella, could you address that, I guess, additional condition that the applicant discussed?
Well, there are 2 waivers. The first one, I just talk about it. The second one, it's about the existing natural forestation. And what he's saying is if the existing vegetation exceeds what the code requires, then the applicant should keep the existing vegetation.
Okay. So, so that would be 2 then proposed PD variations.
Yes.
Okay.
It is correct.
We'll address it like that. Okay, thank you. All right, Planning Commission, please.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the suburban mixed-use future land use category. It is in the urban service area and within the limits of the Gibson Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Community Plan. Planning Commission staffs have found the proposed open storage use with the required buffering and screening is compatible with the existing mixture of uses found within the portion of the Gibson community. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staffs find the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Please come forward. All right. Do we have 4 speakers, 4 persons who wish to speak? All right. And so there's 15 minutes allotted among the 4 of you. Do y'all want to manage that? Okay. So about 3 minutes or so apiece, give or take a little more.
I'll speak and then they'll just agree.
That's fine. Thank you.
I'm Mary Cackling at 10401 Trinity Lane. And as an abutting property owner, I am in support of this application along with the 3 we have here, and there's 2 others on our letter that weren't able to make it tonight. We wanted to reiterate that the business that leases this property, Aries Buildings, is a cherished and vital member of our community. So we're asking that this application be approved to make sure that Aries Buildings is able to remain in Gibsonton.
All right, thank you. And if you have something to submit, if it's not already been submitted, you can submit it to the clerk here. All right, and then next speaker, please.
My name is Mary Ann Amadar. I live at 10414 Trinity Lane, and I'm in support.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm Richard Cackling, and I'm owner of Gardenland Mission, which is an animal shelter that you just can't believe the amount of support we've received from these people. And I've lived there for 45 years, so the difference that would be made by losing these little pieces of woods would be tremendous. And the cooperation that this company from Texas, which is a very large company, could really lead to great expansion in the Gibsonton area. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and would you please, I'm not sure you stated your address.
10403 Trinity. 10407. I just work there every day. So.
All right, and I need each of you also to sign in with the clerk over here before you sit down.
My name is Lloyd Thayek. I live in 10409 Trinity Lane. I've met it.
All right, and you're in support?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And each of you sign in. Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
We do have a question for the applicant, which he, of course, can address in his rebuttal, and that has to do with buffering and screening in the northern area. From the way it is written, we think that there is a typo, so we wanted Mr. Pressman to discuss that with us, and I think the staff planner's also been talking with him.
Yep. If we could go on the overhead for a moment, please. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Pressman, make sure you state who you are online before, or on the, for the record before you start.
For the record, Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. So we do have a correction of sorts. This is Gibsonton Drive on this area here. This is the site. This is the neighbor. So it's kind of interesting because right now it's zoned residential, although the SMU 6 has been approved. And I handle that. We'll be moving towards the zoning. But this should be, between this use and a residential, should be a 30-foot buffer. That's not shown here, but it should be. So that's the correction. And what governs that is the zoning, which is residential. That'll be changing in the foreseeable future. So we wanted to correct that or place that on the record that they'll have to meet the 30-foot as of today. And when zoning changes next door, that'll change.
All right.
Correct? Is it correct, Michelle?
I was also wondering about the northern part along Gibsonton. Is there buffering and screening along there proposed, or is our condition?
That'll have to meet code. There's special buffering and screening, as you know, for that type of use from the roadway. And we have not asked for any waivers along Gibsonton because we knew that was a sensitive item to make sure that we're meeting the code on buffering and screening along Gibsonton.
Okay.
Done.
Does that address staff's question?
I believe so. Then I believe in the northern area, then the second sentence would say along the front, 30-foot buffer, type C screening.
Yeah, and I believe that there's some additional buffering screening required by code when on a roadway. So simple answer is we're going to meet whatever code requires.
Yeah, it's an urban scenic corridor, so there's tree plantings.
Yeah.
That's required.
Okay, yeah.
So then the second part would be a 20-foot buffer And we have type B screening along the east, and you want that to be 30C?
Well, what we've indicated is, in the second waiver, is where existing forestation would exceed code screening, the existing forestation would remain.
So it would be the 20-foot wide or the 30?
It would depend upon the use, but the use is a rail line along the east primarily. Yeah, that's the primary use and almost the whole use of the rail line. And
Next to the parcel that you said is now, was just approved for SMU 6?
it's on the east here.
Right. So for that one, is it a 20 or 30-foot buffer?
My understanding is that it would be a 30-foot.
Okay.
But again, the simple answer is what code requires. My understanding is 30-foot.
And then the type C screening, or you're wanting to have that determined at time of site development, what that would be?
If forestation exceeds.
So type C with forestation exceeding.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you working with us on this. There are a lot, I will say there are a lot of complex parts to this, and I appreciate Michelle and Tanya working with us on it.
All right. My only concern is that when I write up the recommendation, because this is a PD variation, or if it is a PD variation, I'm required to make findings on it. So I need to make absolutely sure that I understand what's being requested and where, so I can write it up correctly. So is there, does staff and has staff and the applicant come to an understanding of what's being requested? I'm not sure I have, and I'm not sure that when I review the record to write up my recommendation, I'll be able to interpret it correctly. So perhaps the language could be placed in the record as a revision to the staff report. I'm not sure what's appropriate, but.
Yes, we would capture the verbal changes tonight in a revised staff report.
Okay, that would
be sent to you.
Thank you. That would be very, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So this closes the hearing on rezoning PD 24-1240.
Our next application is item D6, Major Mod 25-0243. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 04-0054. I've reviewed this for development services and will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening. My name is Colin Rice, the law firm of Boulder Lundy, 1000 West Cass. I've been sworn here on behalf of the applicant, Sims Development LLC. I'm joined by Mr. Craig Bazarski this evening. Zoom this out a bit. Whoop. Great. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so we're here this evening for a major modification to an approved PD from 2004, last modified in 2007, to reapportion the square footages for the different uses. This will not result in a net increase in square footage. So the main thrust of this is the proportion of mini warehouse will increase and the correspondent CG and BPO will decrease. Again, no change in overall floor area. To orient you, we're within the urban service area just west of 301 in the Riverview community here. And we are within the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use designation, which extends north, west, and south, and then across 301 is residential 6. So zooming in, you can see our site outlined in red, which is largely undeveloped. The approvals from 04 and modified in 07 were never constructed. To the north, there's commercial and single-family residential here, commercial. To the west is single-family residential. To the south is an established mini warehouse facility, and across is a shopping center. This is a Publix, Dunkin', bank. So showing you now the site plan, the original approval has a parcel A here and parcel B. We're not touching anything on parcel A, that's remaining constant. Parcel B is shaded differently here so that you can see the concentration of mini warehouse in the lighter shaded area, the remaining uses in the darker shaded area. And we have 301 in Sims. So I want to thank county staff and planning commission staff for their help through this, working closely with us. We have support across the board, which we're grateful for. And we're not aware of any objections. And just an additional word to compatibility, I've cited some comprehensive plan categories that are policies that are in support of this application. Two specific conditions, and we agree with all conditions in the staff report, but two in particular with sensitivity to the single family. We will restrict the height along the western boundary so that the maximum height won't be anywhere near within the property line. It'll be at least 100 feet away. And then there are existing mature trees that were of interest in speaking with Planning Commission staff. To the extent there's not an incompatibility or stormwater or invasive species type of issue, we'll keep the existing trees to the best of our ability. So with that, I'll conclude. We appreciate your time and attention. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
And I'll submit these for the record.
Okay, appreciate that.
All right. Michelle Heinrich, Development and Services. This request is for subject property within PD 04-0054, as most recently modified by PRS 07-1707. The parcel is currently approved for BPO uses, limited CG uses, and mini warehouse. No additional uses are proposed, and all changes, as you heard from the applicant, are only for parcel B. Those changes include, firstly, to square footage, which would be a decrease in the BPO uses, a decrease in the limited CG uses, and an increase in square footage that could be permitted for the mini warehouse. For parcel B, also, there is a proposed height increase to 55 feet. However, as the applicant showed you, that is being held at 35 feet within the western 100 feet of the parcel due to the single family to the west. Also, the level of detail is being changed from to a more conceptual plan, which won't restrict the site to 3 separate mixed-use buildings. There are additional CG uses that are proposed to be prohibited. Those are primarily because those are very high trip generation uses, which the applicant is not intending to develop. And also a prohibition for billboards is currently on the site, and they're proposing that to be removed. And again, that's for parcel B. The site is a corner lot with two PD boundaries abutting properties outside of the PD. A mini warehouse use is located to the immediate south, and single-family residential is located to the immediate west. Staff's compatibility analysis found that sensitivity to the single-family residential to the west is being offered, which includes the 50-foot setback, 35-foot building maximum height, and buffering and screening, which will include the retention of existing trees. Also, as stated, there is no increase in overall square footage and no new uses being proposed. Staff reviewed the application and received no objections from reviewing agencies, and therefore finds it approvable subject to proposed conditions.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission?
Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the suburban mixed-use future land use category. It is in the urban service area and within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan. The proposal meets the intent of future land use section policy 3.1.3 and objective 4.1 on compatibility. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised of a mix of uses. Light commercial, light industrial, and single-family uses are surrounded by the site. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, and applicant, anything further?
Nothing further, thank you.
All right. This will close the hearing on major modification 25-0243. Thank you.
Our next application is item D7, PD rezoning 25-0333. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from AS1 to plain development. Chris Greenlenard with Development Services will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Cami Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, Tampa, Florida. I'm here representing the applicant. This is kind of a unique use and we're really excited about bringing to you. It did cause some confusion through the application process as to what to call it. We applied as a rehabilitation use for 40 beds, and really what the intent of this facility is to be an aftercare discharge place for patients who are receiving hospital care but aren't ready to go back to their homes yet. And so the rehabilitation definition in the code didn't allow for overnight stays, so that wasn't quite the right fit. And then we went to a residential support facility, and that wasn't quite the right fit. And then after a lot of deliberation with staff, we landed on the nursing and convalescent home, although it's not a quote-unquote nursing home, but it does have the most similar characteristics. And so just for people of the public who might have been tracking the application and a little bit confused about what we were proposing, we've always proposed the same use for this unique rehabilitation services facility. And with that, I'll ask Rhea Hunter, who is our planner, to come up and make a presentation on it.
Thank you, Cabby. Good evening. Rhea Hunter with RVI Planning and Landscape Architecture. I have been sworn. I'm located at 10150 Highland Manor Drive, Suite 450, Tampa, Florida, 33610. We have a team of consultants present here today as well who are available to answer any questions you may have. So our request is to rezone the subject property outlined in red from agricultural single family to planned development. As Cami stated, we are proposing a nursing, convalescent, and extended care facility. I will go into details of this use further in the presentation. The subject property, as you can see, is outlined in red. It consists of 3 parcels totaling 3.97 acres. As you can see, it is west of Simmons Loop and just north of Mary Lou Drive and has frontage on both these roadways. The subject site, as well as all of its surroundings, is within the SMU 6 future land use designation. There is currently residential development on the property, as well as a lot of it covered with vegetation. Looking at the context around this property, you can see that it is rapidly growing and developing. Everything highlighted in blue is approved as a planned development and is currently in the process of being developed. I want to pay special attention to development along Simmons Loop, which is seeing a number of apartment complexes as well as single-family growth as well as mixed-use growth along that corridor. Most importantly, immediately adjacent to the site across the road on Simmons Loop is the St. Joseph's Hospital, and the proposed use is really planned as an extension of healthcare facilities in this area. Coming to the proposed use, as we mentioned, we are terming this as a nursing, convalescent, and extended care facility, as that was the closest available use in the county's land development code. The proposed facility is to provide 24-hour inpatient services. There are no proposed outpatient services. So I want to note here that this would be very, very light in terms of traffic, just based on that. The rehabilitation is proposed for physical conditions only, and there will be service offered to patrons of the facility, which will include physical therapy, occupational therapy, etc. On average, patients will stay at this facility for about 13 days. We're proposing a maximum FAR of 0.25, which is consistent with the SMU 6 future land use designation, as well as a limitation on beds, which will be limited to 40 beds. On the screen before you is our proposed PD site plan. The PD site plan includes several measures for compatibility. Firstly, we are restricting height of the facility to a maximum of 25 feet, and this is actually well under what the AS1 zoning district permits by right. Setbacks are also noted on the PD site plan. The project will have primary access from Simmons Loop, which is a county thoroughfare roadway, and secondary access onto Mary Lou Drive. As you can see from the proposed site plan, the vehicular activity is really directed more towards cement loops so as to ensure compatibility with residential units along Mary Lou Drive. In order to enhance compatibility along our western property, which is the closest edge to single-family residential, we are proposing the stormwater retention on that side. I also want to note that we are proposing a 20-foot wide perimeter buffering along that property edge as well. To the north of the property, there is an off-site wetland, and the PD site plan reflects the 30-foot required wetland buffer, which will be provided on our subject property. Here are some visuals of the proposed building, and as you can see, it's going to be limited to a single-story structure, and all of the parking and patient drop-off points will be located along Simmons Loop, really restricting the vehicular activity to that edge. The project includes one PD variation, and this is with respect to the screening and buffering requirements along the northern and northwestern property boundaries. Again, due to the off-site wetland and the wetland buffer that will be provided on site, there is no possibility of residential uses to be developed in proximity to the subject property. And so we are requesting for elimination of the buffer and screening requirements. Of course, a 20-foot setback will be provided along that edge, and any existing vegetation within that 20-foot will be remaining. The project is entirely consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. This is with respect to the SMU future land use designation, as well as it meets several goals, objectives of the South Shore Area Systems Plan, as well as the Riverview Community Plan. So in conclusion, we are in agreement with staff proposed conditions. Staff has recommended approval of this petition. This proposed project is a logical extension of medical uses along the Simmons Loop corridor. The PD site plan has been sensitively designed in order to ensure compatibility with existing residential uses, and the project is consistent with the county's comprehensive plan and land development code. With that, I'll conclude our presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and we are available if any questions.
All right, thank you. I have no questions for you.
Thank you.
Cami Corbett for the record. I did want to say that we did hold a community meeting in the area for the surrounding, the residents in the surrounding area, and up to now, it's been very positively received. And with that, that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Did both of you sign in with the clerk? All right.
Good evening. Chris Gralinar, Development Services. I have an updated report I'd like to submit. Chris Gralinar, planner with Development Services. The applicant proposes to rezone a 3.97 acre property containing 3 parcels from AS1, agricultural single family, to PD to allow for a nursing convalescent extended care facility. A maximum of FAR of 0.25 is proposed, and the facility will accommodate 40 beds. The development will consist of a single building with supportive infrastructure, parking, and stormwater management areas. The subject property is generally located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Mary Lou Drive and Simmons Loop. The area consists of single-family residential, agricultural, and a hospital. The surrounding uses are similar to the request: residential. Also, there is a large hospital, St. Joseph's Hospital South, located across Simmons Loop, which provides additional support. Therefore, the rezoning of the subject parcel from AS1 to PD to allow for a nursing convalescent extended care facility accommodating 40 beds would be consistent with the existing zoning pattern of the area. Staff finds the request approvable, subject to proposed conditions. The report I sent, a revised report I provided, There was a typo on the transportation, but it's been fixed. Be glad to answer any questions you might have about the application.
Okay. No questions for you. I do have the revised report, so thank you for that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, Planning Commission?
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the suburban mixed-use future land use category. It is in the urban service area and within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Community Plan. The proposal for a professional residential facility is residential in nature and therefore meets the intent of future land use section Objective 1.1 and Objective 4.6 as residential support uses are allowed within residential neighborhoods to directly serve the population. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan and development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, please come forward.
Stephen Munich, live at 6806 Simmons Loop. That would be at the southwest corner of Simmons Loop and Mary Lou. So the small road separating us, I guess. Probably not more than 16 feet residential road separates the residential from this proposed property. So obviously I'd be concerned about any noise or light intrusion coming over. Sounds like the Planning Commission is, given it its approval there. So I guess for me, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If the Commission can't give me any obvious reasons as to why mine wouldn't go commercial, then I wouldn't object to this proposal. But obviously getting squeezed out. I've been there for about 20 years, and it was orange groves to the south, cow pastures to the east. So I'm kind of the last one in that little slot right there. So can't see any reason why it wouldn't go commercial if I so choose so. So I'd love to, if there was anything obvious that you saw, I would need to know that to understand what my property values are.
Okay. So the application under review tonight is all I'm considering, all right, not any other properties.
Correct. I understand that.
So is it my understanding then, just to be clear, your concern about this would include noise and light intrusion, is that correct?
Right, and correct.
Okay.
And being the last one left, residential on that side of the street.
Okay.
Sandwiched in between. There is a 100-foot buffer to the south of me and the residential community. So, down the street, down the road, that looks like probably a perfect place for the separation to be between residential and commercial.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
All right.
Make sure to sign in. Yes. All right. Is there anyone else here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right. Not hearing anyone. Development Services, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you. Applicant?
Cami Corbett again for the record. I do think that there's about 90 feet in between the edge of the property line to his property line. We also have the 30-foot setback on the front yard setback to bring those uses further away. We have the buffering and screening requirements that we've put in place to ensure compatibility, and we'll have to comply with any land development code regulations with respect to lighting. And so I would note that I think those already adequately address some of the concerns raised by the gentleman, and we're here to answer any questions should you have any.
All right. Thank you very much. This closes the hearing then on rezoning PD 25-0333.
Our next application is item D8, PD 25-0423. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from ASC 1 and RSC 6 to plain development. James Baker with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Hello, Bryce Pinson with Half Associates here representing the applicant, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33602. This is for PD 25-0423. The site is located off Davis Road in the Temple Terrace area. It is 4.35 acres and within the urban service area. The surrounding uses are a mix of single-family residential and mobile home uses with residential 6 and residential 9 future land use category designations. To the west is a city-owned creek approximately 130 feet wide. The future land use of the site is residential 6. It is currently split zoned between ASC 1 and RSC 6. The request is for 16 single-family dwelling units, just under 4 units per acre. The proposed development standards of 5,000 square foot lots with a minimum 50-foot lot width are the same as the development to the south, making it compatible with the existing surrounding uses. There is a full access proposed off Davis Road, and the proposed internal roadway would be a public right-of-way. So we've added a shared access facility to the north and a cross access to the south to comply with the code. Development Services found the request approvable, and Planning Commission found the request consistent with the comp plan. So I'm here if you have any further questions.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Thank you.
Good evening. James Baker, Development Services. This is PD 25-0423. The proposal is to develop a 4.35 acre area to plan development to facilitate a 16-unit residential single-family development at a density of 3.67 dwelling units per acre with a minimum 50-foot lot width. There is an existing family dwelling that will remain on the property. The subject site is located at Davis Road. The surrounding area is primarily residential, with most properties developed with the single-family homes, but also includes mobile home development. The adjacent zonings are primarily residential, but also include property to the south that is zoned planned development and approved developed with a single-family residential. The lot development standards for the proposed planned development are standards of the RSC 9 zoning district, with 5,000 square foot lots and a minimum width of 50 feet, which are the same development standards as the subdivision to the immediate south. The maximum height of the development is proposed to be 35 feet. The density of the development is 3.6 lots per acre and will be allowed a maximum of 16 units. Development Services does not foresee any compatibility concerns with the proposed development. The density of the proposed development is appropriate for the area and does not pose any negative impacts to surrounding residential uses. Staff recommends approval subject to proposed conditions. You have any questions at this time?
No questions for you. Thank you. All right, Planning Commission.
Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the residential 6 future land use category. It is in the urban service area and within the limits of the East Lake Orient Park Community Plan. The proposal for an additional 16 dwelling units meets the intent of future land use section objective 1.1 and objective 4.4 that requires new development to be compatible to the surrounding area, as it is comprised of mostly single-family residential. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. All right, Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and applicant, anything further?
Bryce Pinson again for the record. I just wanted to clarify really quick. The existing single-family home on site is proposed to remain for now, but it can be removed, and it's part of the site plan where it says if it is removed, it kind of frees up 2 lots, but it would maximum still.
Okay.
Okay.
I understand. Thank you. All right, this is on zoning 25-0423.
Our next item is item D9, PD rezoning 25-0460. The applicant is requesting to rezone property that is currently zoned PD and RMC 16 to plan development. Tim Lampkin with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Cami Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, Tampa, Florida. The subject property is located in the University Village area. It's located in between Fletcher and Fowler, Fowler and Fletcher, Fletcher to the north, Fowler to the south. It's located in the RM24 future land use category. You can see it's just north of the University Area Mall that's in that innovation district. This aerial shows that the subject property is largely developed. There are a few parcels, which I'll give you an exhibit in a moment to show you the location, that are undeveloped. And then there are some that were developed per RM16 standards that we're bringing into this PD. And the primary reason for this PD is to remove the restriction for 55 and older residents only. That was previously a retirement community, and that was how it was constructed, and that's how it's conditioned. The property has changed hands. The new property owner would like the flexibility to rent these to all ages, which is appropriate for the university area. And then this exhibit, orient it in a strange way so you can get it all on the screen. To the north in green, those are the parcels that are undeveloped, and to the blue, which is actually to the south, that parcel is the RM16 parcel, so you can see the location. And so with this request, we are actually reducing the number of units. The approved PD allowed 100 units. We're going down to the 62 units allowable, and we are also asking for a PD variation to 2 of the fences that are located existing on East 131st Street and North 20th Street. They are existing, but we also are asking for the PD variation because we want the ability to go ahead and reinstall those or replace them as necessary to provide for the same type of buffering and screening to the surrounding neighborhood in the future. So we are asking for that variation, and staff is supporting that variation. Both Development Services and Planning Commission have found this request consistent and compatible. I believe staff does have a revised report that they submitted into the record, and we're in agreement with that revised report. And with that, I'd answer any questions.
Okay, no questions for you. I do have the revised, pardon me, the revised staff report. Okay.
Good evening, Tim Lampkin, Development Services. So as the applicant stated, they're proposing to develop its approximately 8.59 acre unified development. It's located at the southeast corner of East 131st Street and North 20th Street. Right now, they're proposing to go from its PD and RMC 16 to PD. They're proposing to incorporate folios not currently zoned PD, but which are utilized as part of the existing development, and to remove the age restriction condition within the existing PD and update the conditions of approval. As the applicant stated, right now the PD allows them up to 100 units. The total proposed density is limited to 62. With 46 units having been constructed, the applicant's proposing 14 units located in the northern portion of the subject site that is currently vacant land. Additionally, the applicant proposes 2 units to be contained within an optional conversion of the clubhouse to 2 residences. As the applicant stated, they're requesting variations to Part 6.07.00, fences and walls of the Land Development Code. They're requesting a PD variation for 8-foot walls that currently exist along East 131st Avenue and North 20th Street to remain at their existing heights and their existing locations. And the applicant did provide additional justification. The applicant's not requesting any other variations from the found in parts 6.0500 or 6.06.00. And based upon the above, staff finds the request supportable. Unless you had any questions.
Okay.
And, I was just going to say the revision is condition 11 in the staff report.
All right. I'll take a look. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And Planning Commission.
Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the residential 20 future land use category. It is in the urban service area and within the limits of the University Area Community Plan. The proposal meets the intent of future land use section objective 4.4 and policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible to the surrounding neighborhood. This proposal will provide multifamily residential opportunities without creating new development and while maintaining the existing built environment of the site and surrounding area. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
Okay, thank you. All right, pardon me. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
Madam Chair, I have one person online.
All right.
Hi there, my name is Elisangela Vega, and in regards to that wall that is on 27th and 20th, is there anything that's going to be done for safety? Because in that curve, there's a lot of accidents that happen and people drive right into the ditch. So is there any kind of precautions to help with that safety factor? They run right into that wall as well.
Could you describe again exactly where that wall is, and we'll ask the applicant to address it?
All right, the wall, I'm assuming this is what he's speaking about, revamping that wall and adding all the new development in there from 131st all the way down on 20th Street. 131st all the way down to 127th Street. There's like a curve, the street curves on 127th, and there's a lot of car accidents that happen right there in that corner, and they drive right into that wall. And as we speak, it's like rehabbed. So I'm trying to see like if there's something that they can do to make it more visible, to alert drivers of the curve.
Okay. We'll ask the applicant to address that, and I'm not sure that they can address your question, but did you have any other concerns, ma'am?
No.
All right. Thank you very much. And you gave your address, right?
12710 North 20th Street.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right. Not hearing anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Applicant?
Traffic, and I have been sworn. I'll take a shot at answering the question as best I can. We're not aware of any accidents being caused by the wall that is there. We have talked to the county engineer, and he was not aware of anything that was occurring out there. But if we do any modifications, we will definitely take a look at that, and it will be subject to permitting with the county, and any site distance or any clear zone issues would be addressed at that point in time.
All right. And I'm not really sure where the wall is, but it sounds like it was around 131st going along 20th Street.
We think it's on that west side.
Okay, the wall on the west side. All right, so then it's your testimony, you're not aware of traffic accidents over there, but any changes to the wall will have to comply with the land development code.
Exactly, and particularly the clear zone issue, so.
The clear zone, okay, understand. Thank you. Anything further, applicant? Okay. All right, that will close the hearing on rezoning PD 25-0460.
Our next application is item D10, Major Mod 25-0479. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 03-0250. Chris Greenlenard with Development Services has reviewed this application and will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Diedenbach. My address is 11801 Research Drive, Alachua, Florida. And I am very proud to be here tonight on behalf of the University of Florida and the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences. I wanted to take just a brief moment to thank your staff as a somewhat foreigner from the Gator country down here in the Bulls area where my son got a couple degrees. It's been very nice to work with Ms. Heinrich, Ms. Rome, Chris, and of course James. They've been very helpful in acclimating me to your standards here. I was hoping that I was going to have the most unique project here tonight with a nearly 500-acre farm, 20 miles as the crow flies southeast of the city of Tampa here. We are here tonight with a 473-acre site that was approved by a planned development in 2003. So it's about a 25-year-old PD here. We are requesting amendment to this PD to bring it consistent with current comprehensive plan policies, overlay districts, and land development code, and also increase the square footage of research and educational institutional area on the site and allow a limited number of on-site graduate researchers to reside on the property. The aerial that you can see here is the project site out on County Road 672. And what occurs on this property is research, teaching, and extension services. We started this process in November of last year and have met with your staff and spoken with them numerous times on the phone and via Zoom. And this is really to allow us to come forward with an agricultural artificial intelligence center out on the Gulf Coast Research Education Facility. This is where the project is located in southeastern Hillsborough County. Across the street from this site is the Balm Boyette Nature Preserve, and there's also a TECO large-scale solar facility on the north side of this property. This property at over 470 acres is a 1-mile stretch along County Road 672 in the very rural portion of southeast Hillsborough County. You might know some of the things that occur here, which are strawberry production and, of course, research. And in the lower picture here, they are actually growing hops here in the state of Florida. They will be soon celebrating their centennial out there, and if you go on the website, all are invited to come and tour the farm. This is the PD from RZ 03250, and you can see here in the northwest and southeast corner, there were 2 residential areas that were planned for a farm resident manager and a security house on the corner. The central area of the PD also had laboratory and administration buildings in it, and then student residences up on County Road 672. Lastly, that center area that's coming in dark green was agricultural field support facilities, meaning greenhouses and areas where research takes place. The rest of the property is an active farm. Overall, this is the development summary of the site. There were 2 residences. There were 2 student residence buildings out there for a very oddly done, but 8 dwelling units per acre, as opposed to taking the residences and dividing it over the gross area of the site. That's one of the things we're clearing up. And then the remainder of the site is agricultural plots here. Here is our revised PD master plan, which more accurately depicts what is occurring on the site. As you can see, in the northwestern and north central portion is where the agricultural, actually academic facilities are and where the student residences are. Those are in the orange area. In the blue area are where there are support facilities, meaning greenhouses and facilities for the actual conducting of agricultural research and maintenance of the farm, and all of the rest of the area are research plots. We have submitted with our application justification reports that analyze the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, as well as the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Planning Overlay and the Balm Community Plan. And when I was encouraged to read those by Mr. Gullinard, I was like, these are written for this because they are highly supportive of agricultural and higher education uses in southeastern Hillsborough County, which is exactly what this research facility does. There are 2 points in the staff comments that we wanted to add clarity to. Condition 14 requires the improvement of County Road 672 to the point of nearest connection where there is a standard road. That is 7 miles away from the site. We have an administrative variance that we have filed. It is financially impracticable to improve 7 miles of road by the state university system all the way westerly back into the urbanized area. And so we are asking that that condition be modified because that is an impossibility for this facility to do. And then on condition 21, it states that if the site construction plans or their equivalent have not been approved all or in part within 5 years, then the certified PD general development plan expires for the internal transportation network and external access points. No modifications are being proposed to the internal transportation network nor to the external points, and we've clarified that on our master plan. So nothing will change, and this site has been substantially built over the last quarter century. One last point in there was staff condition number 5 had mandated, consistent with the original 2003 approval, that there would be buffers around the entirety of the farm, so along 672 on the north, and then down Sweat Loop Road on the east and around the southern side. In condition 4, it states that there shall be a type B buffer installed in that. When the original PD was approved, a 30-foot right-of-way strip was dedicated to Hillsborough County for the ultimate widening or modification to County Road 672. In the area where we are, with 1 mile of frontage along the county road and abutting industrial scale solar, it would look a little odd to have a landscape buffer in the middle of the country, abutting country and other like preserve areas and a solar farm. So we're asking that that type B buffer be removed from that 1 mile strip along there. And the front of the site will remain as is, which has vegetation and is a farm out in rural farming country. So with that, I'd like to conclude that this has been judged compatible with the comprehensive plan by Hillsborough County staff. The professional recommendations of all your staff departments are contained in the report, and they are recommending approval tonight. And we want to thank you on behalf of the University of Florida and the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences for your support today.
Okay, let's get some clarity on those conditions though, because we need to make sure, I need to make sure I understand what you're requesting and that the record correctly reflects it. So I think I'll start with the last thing you mentioned, and it had to do with a variation for buffers.
Yes, on the top of page 12 of 22, it starts on the previous page stating that there shall be a minimum 20-foot wide buffer along the northern perimeter of the site. That is in place and will remain there. But it says screening shall be achieved through a use of a type B vegetation screen there. That is a 1 mile long stretch along the entire north of the property. We would like it to remain in its existing condition. There is vegetation out there, but again, to put a mile of vegetation out there would look very ornamental and inconsistent with the surrounding context area.
Is that condition number 5 that starts on the bottom of page 11 of the staff report and goes?
Yes, it is number 5, and it carries up to the top of page 12 of 22.
Okay. So I might ask staff, this is, I think the applicant's requesting now a PD variation that wasn't reflected in the staff report.
Correct. I think one thing that might help both sides, perhaps, agree with this is I see that it says a type B vegetative screen, which would be vegetation. I know it also requires a fence. Do you think that the surrounding property, like for security reasons, would have a fence around
Yes,
it?
we are fenced there. Yeah.
So that would meet the type B
Okay.
in the condition.
Okay.
So the existing site configuration, then, it sounds to me like meets this condition.
Correct, yes, you can use existing vegetation to meet those requirements.
Okay, so your existing vegetation and the existing fence would meet that requirement.
Okay.
Okay, so no variation required there. Then let's go to condition 21, I believe you said?
Either that or 14.
Yeah, well, I'm scrolled down to 21, so
Okay.
that's what I'm looking at.
All right, so 21 speaks to the fact that the general site plan shall expire for the internal transportation system if site construction plans or equivalent thereof have not been approved in part within 5 years. So this site is substantially constructed out there along 672. So we are also proposing no changes to the connection points to 672. There are points on the northwest corner for the security residential house there. There is the main entrance that has the University of Florida sign on it. There is a TICO easement in there that allows maintenance of the power line there. So there are no modifications being requested there, and we have a site that is largely approved. So this condition would seem to be more speculative if someone did not already have an approved project that is largely constructed on property.
Okay, so I guess then the question is, and maybe this is a question for staff and we can talk about it here, is there an objection to this condition the way it is, or is it something that's required by the code that the PD's general site plans expire after a certain length of time if it's not built out?
Correct. Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. This is a replication of what is in the LDC already. So removal of the condition would not remove that requirement. And that is put in there so that the time period can be taken from there so we know when it became modified and can use that time to count for the 5 years. So we would ask that it stay in there, and just so the applicant knows, it would still be required.
Okay, so we would merely then, merely document the fact that we have largely constructed this site.
Sure, you can certainly, in your presentation, make those statements, but this is a code requirement, so even if it's taken out, it's still going to apply.
Okay, that's what I understand from talking to Chris.
All right, and then the last one, condition 14. Yep.
Yes. So we realize that County Road 672 is a substandard arterial roadway. The nearest point where 672 is built to current county standards, in my discussion with Mr. Ratliff, is 7 miles to the northwest. It is financially impracticable to think that the State University system or others would be able to improve 7 miles of roadway without having adequate, access to the right-of-way. It's a very uncertain element. And so we have applied for an administrative variance on that because of the distance away. And when the project was originally approved in 2003, 30 feet was dedicated along the entire 1 mile frontage of the property for the ultimate modification and enhancement of 672, at which time in the future Hillsborough County is modifying roadway that far away from the core urban area.
All right, maybe transportation staff should speak to that then, please.
Good evening. For the record, James Ratliff, Development Services Transportation Review. I understand the applicant's concerns. That language is the boilerplate language that we put on all projects that are on a substandard road but have not gone through an administrative variance or design exception process to the point where it could be completed and baked into the zoning. So they had applied for one. It was not able to, the plane, so to speak, wasn't able to be landed to be found approvable before it could, so that it could be incorporated into this public hearing. So again, we would request that the language stay as is, because that's just, again, the standard language that is how we interpret that portion of the code that says what an applicant would need to do. And again, the process for varying that would be that administrative process. They will still have that opportunity to complete that administrative variance or design exception process, if whichever they choose. I think they're going the AV route, and that would be done. It just wouldn't be integrated as a part of this zoning.
Okay, so just make sure I understand, then this is language that's required to be in this, in the conditions, and an administrative variance request has been submitted but wasn't timely enough to be included in this zoning process. But it can still be considered and approved or denied after this process. Is that correct? That's your testimony. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ratliff. I think that answers the question. Then the applicant, I guess, would you go ahead and approach, please? Thank you. Mr. Diedenbach.
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
So the applicant can go forward with this language in the zoning application. I mean, it can't be taken out, but the administrative variance can still be considered after the fact.
Yes. Thank you, and we will consider to pursue that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all of the conditions, all the issues you raised.
I did want to add one thing. I talked to Mr. Stephen Grant a second ago, and the fence that's out there is not a landscape type fence, so it is not an opaque fence that's along the front. It is a metal fencing, farm fencing that also has barbed wire on it for security. So I want to be clear that that is not a landscaping type fence.
Sure, yeah, and I see in the condition it says vegetative screening, so I take that to mean the existing plantings or new plantings would serve as the screening.
Okay.
All right. Anything further, sir?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Be sure and sign in with the clerk here.
I will, and I also give them a copy of my resume. And I believe you have the letters of support from the Florida Strawberry Growers Association as well as from the Hillsborough County Extension, so I'm going to give her copies of those too when I sign in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Chris Gralenard, Development Services again. The applicant requests to modify the PD to modernize conditions, increase non-residential UF-IFAS extension research area, and add a limited number of on-site graduate housing units for graduate students who are conducting research on-site and residing on the farm during the course of study. The applicant proposes a maximum of 7 dormitory units with a total of 64 student residents. 219,117 square feet of office and laboratory uses, and 322,362 square feet of agricultural field support facilities, for a total of about 541,479 square feet of non-residential uses. The 473-acre property is comprised of 2 parcels and is generally located on the southwest corner of the intersection of Sweat Loop Road and Highway 672 in Balm. The property is in the rural service area and is within the Balm and South Shore community plans. The surrounding area is predominantly a mixture of single-family residential and agricultural. The current PD is already approved for student housing, laboratory, and agricultural support uses. The expansion of the uses would provide essential educational support and agricultural research. Adequate buffering and screening of the 474-acre facility is provided already. In addition, the surrounding uses are similar to the request, residential and agricultural. Therefore, the modification would be consistent with the existing zoning pattern of the area. Staff finds the request approvable, subject to the proposed conditions. May I ask a question? So for the conditions, there were no changes?
I believe we answered the applicant's concerns.
Yeah.
He can certainly confirm that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any.
All right, and yes, that's my understanding as well from the discussion during the applicant's presentation that, that at this point there are no changes to the conditions as the zoning goes forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Planning Commission.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the agricultural rural 1 to 5 future land use category. It is in a rural area and within the limits of the BAUM community plan, as well as the South Shore Area-Wide Systems community plan. The proposed modification meets the intent of future land use section Objective 1.2 and Objective 4.4 as it's compatible with the surrounding area. Objective 5.1 notes that in recognition to the importance of agriculture as an industry and valuable economic resource, Hillsborough County should promote the economic viability of agricultural activities by recognizing and providing for its unique characteristics in land use planning and land development regulations. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed major modifications consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application?
Hello, my name is Nathan Boyd. My address is 12116 Creek Preserve Drive in Riverview, Florida. I'm also an employee at this center. And I just want to acknowledge that the proposed development would benefit agriculture in the region and also should benefit the community as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And be sure and sign in here, please.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Grant. I'm County Extension Director for Hillsborough County. My address is 5339 County Road 579. I wanted to, it was mentioned that there was a letter from the Extension Service in support. It actually isn't a letter from the Extension Service. It's from the Agriculture Economic Development Council. Our department within the county government provides staff support to this council. The council itself has taken a position in support of the of this major modification, and the chairperson of that council is Dennis Carlton. I just want to make sure that was on the record in case I think that that qualifies him to speak in front of the Board of County Commissioners hearing. So with that, that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate you clarifying that. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right. And applicant, anything further you wish to add to the record?
No, the only question I have is whether or not I need to do anything else about the screening out there with you having testified that what's out there is adequate.
As long as the vegetation would meet type B, which I think is 75% opacity, then it should be fine.
Okay. I'm quite confident that it doesn't meet 75% opacity because it is open farm area out there.
Okay, so there's no vegetation at all?
No, that there is vegetation and there are trees out there, but there's a combination of the TECO power line there, which prohibits a lot of vegetation from being installed along that northern boundary because it's got the electrical power lines there, and there are groupings of vegetation along that 1 mile corridor. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not getting ourselves into a situation where, and do my best here. You know, there are portions of the 1 mile along 672, like here in the corner where the security residence is located. There's portions here by the entrance where there's vegetation. There's portions here, but I would say that it does not meet a 75% opacity along the entire 1 mile of that area, and it is not possible to meet that because of the fact we have overhead power lines and utilities there. So it's also out of character with the fact that we are in a highly rural area which doesn't have vegetative buffers and screening along the county road when we have farms in all of our direction. So that's why I was very focused on that not being in there because I think that's impossible to meet.
Okay. As the hearing officer noted, that would be a PD variation. So that's not something we can change on the record tonight.
Okay, I want to make sure I got the process
You
right.
can certainly make that request, and then the zoning hearing master is able to weigh in on that and support or oppose that request. As far as staff goes, we couldn't change anything without the zoning hearing master's recommendation.
Okay. I can include that in my report as a PD variation. Just a question, though, since it wasn't included in the application or the staff report, would there be any problem with the public notice, that this wasn't included in the public notice?
The PD variations are not included in the mailed notice or the signage.
Okay. Then we're making a formal request tonight for a PD variation to vary the requirement for the, and I think the screening and the buffering.
Yes, ma'am.
Around that 1 mile, well, basically all of the property abutting, is it 574?
672.
Thank you, 672.
Yeah. And I will submit supplemental narrative and photographs that I've taken, as well as drone photography along there to show you why that's not possible, so that you have sound bases for that.
Okay.
You would need to enter it tonight if you were, did you hand that in to the clerk?
No, I did not, but I will put in supplemental information tomorrow if that's possible. Or-
Well, the hearing will close tonight.
Okay.
At this conclusion, so anything you would submit after that can't be taken in or used at the board meeting. But I'm sure the zoning hearing master, as part of their review, will be looking at the site and the surrounding conditions.
Right, I will. And so the testimony on the record tonight then, is it your testimony that it's impossible to meet that requirement for the buffering and screening because of the nature of the use? And
into the record that on our justification report on figure 12 on page 15, as well as on figure 13 on page 16, you can clearly see that areas here along 672 have existing vegetation, but other areas along there are not able to have vegetation because of the narrowness of the property there and contravening power lines. So we will retain the vegetation that is existing on the north portion of the site, but ask for relief in that western area where we simply can't do it because of the conflicts with infrastructure, narrow right-of-way, and utilities that exist out there. This condition has existed this way, and yeah, I would like to enter that into the record.
all right, I understand your request, and I'll include that then as a PD variation request in my, my recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate the coaching, and go Gators.
Thank you. That closes the hearing on major modification 25-0479. And that concludes the zoning hearing master meeting for this evening.